Welcome, fellow YouTube traveler. If you don't know me already, I'm Baronen, and I'm on a mission to learn art. The main way of progressing on this mission is now by working on a world-building project that is centered around dragons. It's a world where all of the people, the dragonkin, wear their souls on the outside of their body in the form of dragons. 2 weeks ago, I painted dragons based on different dinosaurs. In the end of that video, I promised that I would keep painting on the last one of the illustrations and refine it to as good of a standard that I possibly can. In this video, you will get to see that process, from semi-refined sketch to a completely finished painting. During this time-lapse, I will share some lore about the orcs of my world and their dragons, from the perspective of the human scribes. So grab a hot drink and some popcorn, sit back, relax, and enjoy the painting taking shape. They call themselves Uruk, but in the common tongue, they are known by a lot of other names. Greenskins, orcs, brutes, and barbarians are only a few of the things they are called nowadays. Like the name Greenskin suggests, they have green skin that cover their large muscular frame. Most of them are 1 to 2 heads taller than a fully grown man, but much larger specimens have been seen. The largest one ever recorded by a scribe is said to have been 2 stories tall. This has led us to believe that there is no real limit to how big they can grow, although most of them die before they reach these truly fearsome sizes due to their lifestyle. It's not only their green skin and large size that sets them apart from us. They also have large tusks that protrude from their mouths that give them a mean appearance. They have a large variety in proportions in their bodies and facial features that make them all look very unique, at the same time as they all look very similar. The clothes that they wear are much simpler in fashion than ours, and closely resembles what we once wore a long time ago in the beginning of the Second Age. They live in the wastelands of the north, in smaller villages made up of simple tents. A group of Uruk that live together is called a community, and is composed of between 5 to 500 Uruk. In these communities they eat, sleep, breed, and fight. And fighting is something that they spend most of their time doing. It is so embedded in their culture that you might even say it is their culture. When they fight each other, they most often use smaller weapons or no weapons at all, and death is more rare than you might think. To gather the supplies they need, they hunt and go on raids. The people that are most affected by these raids are the Western dwarves, primarily the smaller villages that live outside the mountain, and they fight endless battles on the edges of their territory. Luckily, our kingdom is further away from the wastelands, and therefore Uruk raids are much more of a rarity this far to the south. We do, however, aid the dwarves in their everlasting war against the Uruk, when we have the men to spare, to keep our important alliance at its best, since they are our main supplier of iron and other rarer things found in rocks. Despite the Uruk's brutish and primitive nature, they have been blessed by the mana in the same way as we have, and are a part of us dragonkin. This makes them a lot more formidable than if they weren't. Their dragons are a big part of how they function, just like our dragons are to us. Most of their dragons are wingless, or have smaller wings that are no good for real flying, There are of course exceptions to this, and there are a few occasions where flying Uruk have been spotted. Like most other dragons, they are fond of heat and do breathe fire. But their greatest weapons are usually something more vicious and cruel. Their hunting dragons and raiding dragons are incredibly fast and have exceptionally sharp claws that they use to run down and pierce their prey. Their battle dragons, however, are a lot larger and use that to their advantage. Most of them are large enough for their hosts to ride them. They are all equipped with something to crush their foes in some way. Crushing jaws, club tails, and bone claws are the most common. They usually do not have much in the way of defenses, more than a thick hide and a strong offense. They are truly fearsome to behold, and that is often enough to make a lot of opponents run away in fear, instead of testing the dragon's defenses. The Uruk dragons live outside. When they are not away for hunting, raiding, or battle, they generally bask in the sun or spend their time fighting each other, just like their hosts. To keep themselves warm during the colder nights of the wastelands, they bury themselves into the sand or find corners in the cliff formations, where the warm rock can keep them from getting too cold. Like all of the other dragonkin, some of the Uruk become channelers. They are, however, the dragonkin that presents the least amount of them, and only about 1 in 200 become channelers. This is partly because they don't have channeling educations like we do, and that they aren't as attuned to the mana as we are. Even though they are few, Uruk channelers are very powerful, and the sheer aggression and chaos is very visible in their powers. It is most common for their abilities to manifest as lightning that shoots out from their bodies. It is also common for them to accidentally kill a lot of their own when in battle, because of the lack of formal training and control. The weapons that Uruk carry are, like most of their other things, primitive and crude. Fine blacksmithing is nothing that they have spent time perfecting. Somehow they do, however, manage to create some truly devastating tools. They get their metal through 2 different ways. The first one is the most surprising. Despite the perceived lack of higher thinking, they have figured out that the red sand and rock they live on contain iron, and they manage to extract it through a series of processes and then refine it somewhat to be used in their tools of destruction. The other way is through raiding. On these raids, they take a lot of weapons and tools that have been expertly crafted by dwarven hands. Despite this, they have never been seen using them, but they smelt them down or break them in other ways to make their own weapons out of. Like all of the dragonkin, the Uruk have their own language. This language sounds very harsh and is hard to describe to someone who hasn't heard it. Because of their large tusks, they lack the oral mobility needed for a few of the consonants and rely more on the ones they can pronounce, as well as glottal stops. Like themselves, this language seems to be quite primitive, and because of their aggressive nature, only a handful of scribes have been able to learn the language. Because of their segregated living in the wastelands, there are very large differences in how they speak, depending on which community they come from. Thank you so much for listening to me rambling on about orcs and their dragons for a few minutes. Now, towards the end of the video, I want to talk a little bit about what it was like to do this painting. It is by far the longest single painting I have ever done. The entire process took me about 11 hours from start to finish. It was so much fun to put that much effort into one single thing, and to do that many small details and just get lost in the painting process. For me, it's a bit difficult to do really long sessions, and therefore I decided to try to only do 45-minute sessions. I did 3 of these every day for this week, which means that I put 2 hours and 50 minutes into painting 4 days in a row, which is way more than I usually do in a week. And I think it is so cool how much easier it is to put in the work when you set a timer, and how everything just feels more digestible with shorter sessions. Now I'm excited to paint more and to write more lore about the other Dragonkin and about the world as a whole. And as a last note, I have gotten a few requests about the stats on the dragons that I paint. So here you get the stats for the dragon I have painted in this video. Dragonkin, Uruk. Type: Wingless Battle Dragon. Height: 4 meters. Length: 12 meters. Weight: 8 tons. Speed: 40 kilometers per hour. Weapons: Crushing Jaw, strong enough to crack the skull of most other dragons. Horned neck and arms. Defenses: Thick hide, enough to deflect most human weaponry. Horned neck. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider giving it a like. And subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Oh, and if you like this one, then there is a video specially curated for you on screen right now. So why not give that one a try as well? With that said, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay,